Hi everyone, it's Sue Plumb here to share another scrapbook process video with you. Today's layout that I am sharing was created for Pinkfresh Friday, and this is where a bunch of creative people are getting together and we are all busting some of our Pinkfresh Studio stash. Now, I don't have a huge amount of Pinkfresh Studio products in my stash, but I have managed to pull together a reasonable amount of this collection, which is Happy Blooms, from my Hip Kit Club subscription. So I believe I received these sort of mid last year, and I really haven't had a chance to play with them much. So I was really glad that this hop gave me a great excuse to dig into them. So I am actually going to be scrapping some photos of my daughter that I took last month. She actually got a little bunch of flowers from her boyfriend for Valentine's Day, and she was so happy when she came home. So I had to snap a few pics of her with her flowers. So I thought that would be a great fit for this collection, given that this collection is so full of beautiful florals and beautiful colors. And yeah, I'm getting stuck in. So I had chosen that gorgeous green paper there that I absolutely adored. And because it had that frame sort of naturally drawn on it, I wanted to use that as a feature of my layout, and I wanted to maintain that natural frame that it already had. So I cut out the middle of that paper because if you've seen my videos before, you know I don't like to waste any paper and I like to keep it for another purpose. I've stuck some white cardstock in there. That's just smooth white cardstock that I had cut down to measure 10 by 10, which gave me that beautiful 1-inch border all the way around. Now, I wanted to do a layout that focused on tags because I love tags. I love them. I love the shape of them. I love that I can make them all different sizes. I love that I can add, you know, little bits of twine on the end of them to add texture to my page. And there's nothing I love more than just cutting them out of pattern paper to use on a page. So I had one large and one smaller size tag in a container on my desk there, and I keep them aside to use for templates for making my own tags. So I went ahead and chose some pattern papers from the range that I thought would work on this page, and I proceeded to cut out and construct a bunch of tags. Now you'll see me speed it up even faster here in a minute because you really don't want to watch me sit there, trace them, cut them out, punch the hole and tie a bit of string on it. So that's all I'm doing. I just did it until I had a nice stack of tags that I knew would create a good focal area for this page. So I chose that blue sort of daisy print paper first because I thought that worked well with the blue that's in my daughter's shirt in the photos. And then I wanted to contrast that with something that was a little bit bolder. So I chose that really pale pink paper that had that bolder floral print on it. And I made a couple of tags using that. One of the other papers that you will see me pull in is actually a cut apart sheet. And there are a couple of spots on the cut apart paper there that naturally make tags. It actually has the little spot where you can punch the hole out of, that one there. And I tied that with twine as well. And there's another, and I think I flipped over a piece of paper. I was looking at the tags here, decided I needed one more. And I flipped it over, that's right, and I found that butterfly print on the back. And as soon as I saw the butterflies, I was sold. So I cut out a little butterfly tag as well. Now, once I had that assortment of tags, it was a matter of working out how I was going to place them on the page. I had no idea at this point. I just knew I sort of wanted them like scattered sort of across the page. The photos that I'm working with, I had a 3x4. And I also had two 2x3s. I think that's what they are. Yeah, I think that's what they are. Anyway, so before I got to sticking those tags down, I wanted to add a little bit of colour to my background. Now, given that the yellow flowers are so prominent in these photos, I knew I had to draw in the yellow from the flowers a lot more into this page to make it work well. So I chose two Distress Oxides. The two that I chose were Mustard Seed and Squeezed Lemonade because neither of those yellows were quite right on their own, but the mix of the two worked out really well. over the top of that, oh, you'll see that I did do that with my ink blending tools, just very basic. Over the top of that, I used a little heart print stamp. It's just a clear stamp there. And another Distress Oxide. I used Tattered Rose for that one because that just gave me those beautiful, subtle pink hearts in the background, because it wouldn't be a Valentine's layout or a layout about Valentine's Day without hearts on it, right? Anyway, I just rolled over that with some paper towel just to make sure it was completely dry before I went in and started moving those tags around and putting my fingers on it, because I didn't want to end up with any sort of colour transference. So once I've figured out that I'm just going to sort of scatter them across the page, it's just a matter of shuffling them around until I think they look right to my eye. I wanted to make sure that the patterns were well and truly sort of mixed up and spread about. I really wanted that nice eclectic mix of patterns behind those photos. Now you can see that I've run with the larger tag to the left side there because I knew I was going to place my larger photo there, and I wanted that large tag to act as an anchor behind that larger feature photo. Now, one of my I suppose you could call it a signature product or a signature element that I often use, are paper doilies. So I had already pulled out a blue and a couple of different yellow ones from my stash to see what might work with this layout. I had the yellow one sitting there, but I realized that once I had that yellow Distress Oxide down on the page, it was just not going to be enough contrast. The yellow was just going to meld into the background, and that's why I chose the blue one in the end, just to get that sort of contrasting color on the page. Okay, so the next element that I was looking through here, it's actually a packet of, it's got like pockets and tags and things in it, and I really, really love these that Pinkfresh Studio do. I found a small little pocket there that had a tag inside it, which obviously was perfect for this page because it continued the tag theme. So I knew I was going to tuck that in somewhere up the top left corner there, and I was going to write my journaling onto that tag. Now, the reason I'm able to tuck that pocket in at this stage of my layout is because all of those tags have only been tacked down with a very small amount of adhesive underneath them just to hold them in place. And I go along later and add more adhesive to make sure that everything is secured properly to the page. Now, I also found that little label there that's got like a ticket shape on it that says special, and I thought, yeah, that would work really well. It also brought in a bit more of the warm tones being pink, and it tied in well with the fact that I had that pink twine on my tags, and there was the pink color on a couple of the other tags as well. This was a fairly broad palette that I was working with for this layout. I tend to not work in too many colors at once because I like to color coordinate as much as I can, but it was really sort of fun to let go of this one and do some pink and some green and some yellow and some blue and some purple. There was, like I said, there was a lot of colors on this one. So on top of all of those tags, I've also added some frayed gauze for texture. That's gauze, the sheets that I just get from a pharmaceutical supply company. I just fray them up with my fingers, and I just attach them down with the photos over the top using a nice strong liquid adhesive. Now I have added my journaling to that tag in the pocket and tucked it in there, so now my journaling is all taken care of. Now, I am going to start looking for other embellishments to put on this page. I've got the sticker pack there. I've also got the floral ephemera pack. And I also have the cut apart sheet that gives me the ability to cut things from it if I need to. So the first thing I found was that puffy sticker, which said best day. And I thought that was perfect. It was yellow and it sat beautifully on my photos to give my page a title. I didn't want a huge title on this because the page is already very busy, and I thought that small puffy sticker worked really well there. Now, I did bring in the floral ephemera at this point and had to decide where I was going to put things next. Okay, so if you've watched along to this point, you'll notice that this layout has suddenly skipped ahead. Sadly, that's because my camera decided to turn itself off and I missed showing you all the little bits in between. So the last thing you would have seen is me getting out this bowl, which has got the Pinkfresh floral ephemera in it. So all I did was I pulled out some pieces of the floral ephemera and I've tucked them in around my layers. I've also tucked this little butterfly. I've just stuck it at the center, tucked that little butterfly there and folded its wings up. And then once I'd tucked in the floral ephemera, I moved on to the sticker sheet here, and I've chosen a few phrases. So these two down here, which you can see, these two here. And then I also picked this one as well, which I've popped up with a little bit of foam tape to bring it up closer to the level of the photo. And then I grabbed this little butterfly, which came from the puffy sticker sheet, and popped him up there. And then what I did was I went into my little add-on kit here and I just pulled out some of the enamel dots. So I've put a little cluster of enamel dots here. I've put a little cluster of enamel dots here, and I've put some here as well. Now, if you've seen my previous videos, recently I was talking about the large size enamel dots. So those people who know me, you'll be very proud to see that I have actually used some of those larger sized ones, and I've just tucked them in under the edges of things so that they're not so visible. So the only thing I have left to do on this layout now, I don't have to do any journaling, because if you saw previously, I've already added the journaling on the back of that tag, which just tucks into that little pocket there. And the only thing I'm going to add on now is I'm going to add some splatters. So I'm going to use another Distress Oxide. So this will be the the fourth Distress Oxide on this layout. So I'm going to use that color there, which is Mauve Lawn. Now I'm going to add something just over my photos there, because I don't really want to splatter them. So I'm just going to swipe it on my messy mat like that. I've got my little water sprayer, so I'm just going to give it a couple of spritzes of water. Now this brush that I'm using is a kid's paintbrush, and it's got really stiff nylon brushes, and I find it gives really good little splatters on a page. So I'm just going to add just a few little splatters around the place. Not too many. Just because you have white space on a page, don't feel obliged to fill it up, because white space gives the viewer's eye somewhere to rest. So I'm splattering near my enamel dots there. Just going to spin it around again. I'm going to add some over the top of this yellow near these other enamel dots. Trying to get it where I want it to go. Sometimes they go awry, but I mean, that doesn't worry me. And I like to add a few, when I splatter, I like to add a few little splatters over the top of the paper layers that I've already got down, because that helps tie the background and foreground together, and it just gives extra cohesion to the layout. So just a few little splatters. Often they do go on my photos, and I don't really care about that, but for the sake of showing you the right thing, I've actually covered my photos. That's probably going to pretty much do it. Let me just lift that off and have a look. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So that's it. Thanks so much for hanging in, and my apologies for the technical difficulties. Sometimes things happen and they are out of our control, but there you have it. So there's my layout for Pinkfresh Friday using the Happy Blooms collection from Pinkfresh Studio. Make sure you visit the other people who are listed down below. There'll be links to their videos there. Pop around, you might discover some new scrappers that you haven't seen before. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please hit the subscribe button, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.